back to the channel. My name is Aditi and today I am sharing this fun interactive Z fold surprise card. I begin with an A2 card base, and so I already have a score line at 4 and a quarter. The size of this cardstock piece is 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, scored at 4 and a quarter on the 8.5 inch side. So on one side, I am going to score it at 2 1/8 just to divide one of the 4 and a quarter parts into half. That's going to be the front of my card. So first, just folding along that center score line, I am going to nicely burnish it to create my standard A2 side folding card. And after that, I am then going to fold along that new score line that I have just created along the front of the card. But this time I am going to fold it backwards, creating that Z fold element for this card. So just keeping it in an orientation of a normal card, I then fold along that half scored line for the front of the card backwards to create that zigzag or Z folding style pattern. So it's as simple and as easy as that. And later, as I go along and decorate, I will show you how I add another element of surprise to this. I am going to use the watercolor whimsy pattern paper to decorate this card. And to trim it further, what I am doing is beginning with one piece of paper. So I've just picked out this sheet of paper with the white background and floral print, and I am going to cut it down to 4 and a quarter by 5.5 inch, which is the standard size of an A2 card. Once I have this, it is then easy for me to trim the pieces down. So instead of trimming it down to 2 1/8, I am going to trim it down to 2 inches first. So that is going to make it 1/8 inch shorter than my base. And then along the 5.5 inch side, I am going to trim it down by 1/8 of an inch. Again, just to keep that nice little 1/8 of an inch white border on all the sides. So we need two such strips, and I am going to just trim that other strip down in the same way to 2 inches by 1/8 of an inch shorter from 5.5 inch. Then the remaining piece of paper, I can trim that further down. So I am just going to, trim it down to 4 and a quarter by 5.5 inches first, and then trim off 1/8 of an inch on all four sides so that I have that even border there. Once I have all of these ready, I am going to use liquid glue and adhere them down to my card. So I am adhering it to the inside as well as these two strips like you can see on the front along that zigzag element. So basically, if you open your card, I have decorated all the sides inside with the pattern paper. Next up, I am using this new release Ombre Glitter Cardstock along with the Wreath builder die. So I have die cut the leaves along the green side of the glitter ombre paper, and then I have used two flowers and die cut these several times along the pink and the peach side of the paper. So once I have all of that, for my sentiment, I'm using the Just a Note Meraki Moments die, and I have die cut the main letters on glitter paper and just that first outline on white cardstock. I am not using the second layer of this die, so I am going to go ahead and adhere the letters onto that white shadow layer. That gives me a nice focal element, and you will see how this comes handy for a Z fold card in a minute once I begin assembling everything together. So just using my liquid adhesive, I am adhering the letters onto that shadow die. Now this is not too difficult. There is this engraved mark of the die card, so I just go along and follow that to adhere the letters. Next up, I am mixing the layers of my glitter die cut flowers to assemble these cute mini flowers. So since I have a variety of shades from the ombre paper, I'm just mixing them up to create different colored flower clusters for this card today. And I just mix up the flower centers as well, and I'm just using my liquid adhesive, adding a drop in the center and adhering all of these flowers together to create nice shimmery flowers effortlessly without any other medium to color. I think this makes for a really great card and brings in that bling, shimmer and shine that I need. So the glitter ombre cardstock is definitely a must have for easy cards, for shiny backgrounds, for shimmery focal points, everything really. So I go ahead and repeat the same thing on the bigger flowers that I have die cut, just again alternating and mixing up the layers. I also just use a single layer, adding a flower center and completing that for an added flower since I didn't have enough die cut. So this itself creates a lot of variety. Now to step this up further, I have another A2 size card base here, and I am just folding along that center score line at 4¼ inch, and I am going to adhere my entire element onto this. So what this does is gives me a side opening card, and I am going to add a pocket in there. So I'm going to use some double-sided adhesive to adhere this entire element onto my standard A2 card base, and I am going to nicely burnish all of that and create this double element of surprise for my interactive card today. So this just steps it up further. This just adds another unique detail to your cards, making them further interactive and just nice. So now in here I have another strip of pattern paper from a previous project, and I'm going to trim this down to 4¼ slightly 1/8 inch shorter, and it is 1½ inch wide. Just adhering it by applying liquid adhesive on 3 sides, I then have created a pocket for the inside of my card. Now time to put everything together. So keeping that Z fold there at the front of my card, I am playing with my elements. I am using the sentiment as my main focal and adhering the glitter leaves behind it. So I'm going to adhere the leaf onto the sentiment itself at the back, not on the base of the card on one side. And on the other side with the Z fold, I am adhering the leaf directly onto the base. What this does is when I open the card the way it's supposed to, my sentiment is going to lay flat on the left side of the card. So with that, I can then create a beautiful composition. So bringing in my flowers now, I am going to first adhere 3 flowers just onto the left side of the card. So this is going to be the fixed element of the card. Here the elements are going to be directly adhered onto the base. So just getting those done, I am using liquid glue again to glue all of these down in place. And once I have that cluster down in place, I am going to adhere the sentiment. Again, I'm applying glue just to 1/2. That is going to adhere down to the left side of the card. So now you can see how it lays flat when I open it up on the left side of the card. Now just folding it back, I am going to adhere remaining flowers on the right inner base of the card. So this is going to be a fixed floral cluster on the right inner base. But when I fold my card to that Z fold, it is going to look like a fuller, complete, round floral cluster there. And when I open it up, I have a little composition on the left side, and I have a little some surprise of the flowers on the right side. Since I had 1 flower remaining, I adhered it to the innermost pocket just for another surprise detail. Now with that, I have everything done, and I decided to use a sentiment from the Amazing Bloom stamp set to tuck it in underneath the Gister note on the inner base of the card, creating a little surprise sentiment there for the receiver. So when they open up the card, they are going to have another secret sentiment tucked right in. So I'm just using my black ink and stamping this, making sure that it is hiding underneath the just a note, and that looks amazing. I absolutely love how that turned out, and I can't stop just folding it and opening it back open multiple times. And then here I'm just going to use leftover cardstock to show you how that pocket is functional, so you can tuck in a gift card right there, creating a little surprise for the receiver. So just a closer look at this completed card, and you can see how with using specialty pattern paper and the glitter paper and dies, I have been able to complete this card together in a few minutes. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial and you will give this a try. Until the next time, take care and bye bye.